This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
Companies in the Unreasonable Institute are working hard on ideas to change the world. And this is all about founders who solve problems and really become laser focused on how to fix it. These are entrepreneurs in the purest sense and really go after some of these problems which I think are just inspirational and ones that I think can be inspiring to all entrepreneurs out there. I'm Phil McKinney, and you're listening to Killer Innovations. If you're listening live, don't sit there, participate, join in. You can use the hashtag KILive, and we'll start looking at the Twitter feed and taking those questions. So we've got another founder here, another one that actually I was mentoring with last week and made his presentation at the launch event in Boulder on Friday night. And I'll tell you, all of the entrepreneurs on Friday night at the Launchpad event just knocked it out of the park. There's 600 people in the audience, and I think everybody just walks out every year out of that Launchpad event inspired about the fact that entrepreneurs from around the world can identify those problems, and they can truly change the world. So this is a story this next one that I really want you to listen to. I think there's a lot to learn from an inspiration standpoint, but also tackling the big problem. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let the audience know a little bit about you.
Thanks for having me here, Phil. I'm Rubaiyat Khan from MDoc. I'm the founder and the CEO.
And so, in your case, this is actually not your first entrepreneurial effort. You're the proverbial serial entrepreneur going out multiple times. So give us the 60-second radio commercial on what it is you're working on right now.
So in Bangladesh, where I'm from, about 100 million people, that's 1/3 of the population of the U.S., live without regular access to doctors. They live in really remote areas where when they get ill or their children are ill, they don't really have a place to go to for care. And that's not just a problem in Bangladesh, but it's a global problem. About 57 countries in the world face a chronic shortage of doctors. And most of these doctors, even when they're present in the cities. And so in the rural areas, people are pretty much do not have access to doctors when they need them. And about 1.5 billion people in the world actually have never seen a doctor in their lives. So that's the scale of the problem. And the way we're trying to solve it is by connecting doctors with pharmacists or other providers in the village who are already providing some sort of care, but we are empowering them with the technology so that they can connect patients in their villages with doctors in the city and get a prescription within a few minutes.
So back to your statistic about the size and scale of the problem in Bangladesh. When you say people don't have access to medicine, what does that mean? Does it mean it's a 30-minute drive to get to finding a doctor, or is it a 2-hour drive to get to? What classifies someone as not really having access to medical care?
So it actually varies. So let me give you a picture. There are many villages in Bangladesh where the nearest road network is at least 2 hours walk away. And so you would, in cases where those are hilly regions, it is even longer. So you have to make that hike to the nearest road network, and then if you're lucky, you would get a really like a bus that is falling apart, and like through really risky road networks, you actually end up making a trip to the town. When you're in the town and you've finally reached the clinic, unfortunately the doctor isn't there, because you didn't know when the doctor is supposed to be there, or the doctor that you need is not there. So it's a really risky proposition. And then there are people who are exploiting these uneducated patients and basically exploiting them out of money. So just one story that I can share, a patient that I met once was someone who lived on less than $1 a day, and he had a broken leg from just working one day. And he spent over the next 2 years about $2,000.
Well, he makes $1 a day.
Makes less than $1 a day.
So how does he pay a bill like that?
He actually sold his family land and tried to fix his leg, and he ended up not being able to fix it, and he was still crippled when we met him. So that is the scale of the problem that we have in a place like Bangladesh.
So let's back up. What was the spark? What was that thing that just kind of turned on your light bulb and said, this is a problem, and I'm going to go after this?
I think it's a series of events, but one thing that really pops out at me, and I've actually kind of realized it at the Institute. It didn't really occur to me as that aha moment before. But I back in about 6 years ago, I was in a remote village of Bangladesh attending a cultural festival, and we decided to stay for the night. Around 2 a.m. in the morning, I woke up with really bad stomach cramps and had continuous diarrhea and vomiting for the next 5 hours. About 3 hours in, I had pretty much resigned my life to fate, and I ended up, I remember quite vaguely that I reached out for my phone and sent a text to my then fiancé saying, I don't know if I'll see you again.
Wow.
And that was, I think, the closest to death that I've ever been. And I was kind of lucky that I survived that night, but many people aren't as lucky as I am.
And in that case, how far away were you from medical care?
At least 100 miles from the nearest doctor.
100 miles from the nearest doctor. Wow. So how'd you get this? How'd you get started at this? I mean, you've had this experience. What was the process of really getting to the point of where you've identified what you think is a scalable solution?
Right. So I've been working, as you mentioned, I'm a serial entrepreneur, if you can call it that. My previous company is also about using technology to solve social problems, and we do that more in a consulting mode with other organizations, NGOs, governments, and donor organizations. But while doing that work, I think what I realized was that in order to address this problem at the scale of the problem, if we are to reach 1.5 billion people, the only way we were going to do that is by building a sustainable business model around it. It was not going to be through philanthropic money or charity. So what we ended up doing was we ended up staying in villages for about 2 months, living with the villagers, living their lives, and really trying to identify how people address their health problems. Where do they go for care? Who do they trust? Who do they pay money for getting care? And through that experience, we actually realized that there were entrepreneurs on the ground, like pharmacists in Bangladesh, who were already providing a degree of care. They handle 70% of the rural caseload in Bangladesh. Like the government and the formal medical community, doctors primarily, treat them as quacks and kind of completely discount them from the entire health system. But they are there and they're providing care. They care about the community. So we decided that these were the people that we needed to empower with the right kind of technology so that they could provide much better quality care.
And how many pharmacists are there? You keep saying these are pretty common and pretty available. How do you describe how available it is?
Let's just say that within 15 minutes walk from your house, there is a pharmacy.
Okay. Wow. That is the medical network then.
Yeah.
And so you figured out that you had to work with these pharmacists because they're the feet on the ground. They're the ones that are dealing with the medical issues because people are sick. One, you can't even walk the 2 hours to get to, the road network to even get to the city. So these are obviously going to be the frontline people. Mm-hmm. So, but in many cases, they're not trained medically. Mm-hmm. So how do you equip them in order to provide that medical care?
So the model we have is we give them a tablet which has algorithms that guide them through the process of gathering patient data. And once they gather symptoms and some basic examination results, they can send all of this information to the cloud, where our doctors sitting hundreds of miles away can look at that information and can write a prescription. And they have a printer at the pharmacy which prints the prescription out within a few minutes.
Okay. So in that case, then you've basically taken advantage of, of the cloud technology, but now you've also put the doctor into the cloud.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And so so now you've got this going in and started, and now you're in the process of scaling that out, right?
I would say that we have been in the process of developing the service and really perfecting the service over the last 1 year, and we're now at the stage where we know that the service works. We know that 90% of our patients go back really, really satisfied with the service, and even paying the $2.50 that they pay for the service.
For the $2.50 per visit.
It's a $2.50 per visit, plus the medicines. So, but I think we're still a long way away from, so as we like to say it, our mission is to make healthcare as accessible as going to a Starbucks and as affordable as a cup of cappuccino. So that is a mission that we're a pretty long distance away from, but I think we're getting there.
That's great. So if you want to follow what you're doing, how can they find you?
So unfortunately, we've been too busy with developing the service, so we haven't had a website until now, and we're about to build it out. But right now, you can follow us on Twitter at AmaderDoc. That's spelled AMADERDOC. Amader means our doctor in Bangladesh, so that's...
Great, and I'll put the links in it on the show notes, so you can go to killerinnovations.com, and I'll have links to all the companies we're talking about. Thanks for spending time with us. I don't know about you, but the fact that rural care is critically important. When we come back, I've got a killer question that's going to hack your brain. I'm Phil McKinney, and this is Killer Innovations on the BizTalk Radio Network.